Citizens of Gotham, before we get started with our episode, let's take a moment to recognize our partner sponsor, Organic Priced Books. Now, if you're listening to this, I'd be willing to bet you enjoy comic books. If you do, much like myself, you probably love seeing your favorite runs and stories collected in an edition that you can proudly put on your shelf. These collected editions are wonderful to read and display, but man can they be pricey. This is where Organic Priced Books comes in. Organic Priced Books is a small, family-owned business dedicated to getting you those collected editions of comics that you love at great prices. They have an expansive online store where you can browse, pre-order, and purchase from their in-stock items. Not only do they carry the major companies, such as DC and Marvel, but they also carry other brands such as IDW, Boom Studios, Image, Dark Horse, and more. They also package these books with amazing care, so they show up to your door in pristine condition. So head down to the link in the description of this episode and visit Organic Priced Books today. Also in that description, you'll find our promo codes. The first is tfrbatpod to get you $2 off of any order, and the second, tfrbatpod Ship It Together, to save you 5% off of any order of 3 or more books. Check out all the offerings that Organic Priced Books has, save money, and support TFR as you do so. Thanks to Organic Priced Books for supporting us. Now let's get on with the episode. Welcome, citizens of Gotham, to The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast focusing on all things The Dark Knight and the DC Universe. If you'd like to connect with the show, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads, and Blue Sky. Just search tfrbatpod. And if you have thoughts, questions, comments, or even suggestions for future episodes of the show, you can shoot us an email. You can send those to tfrbatpod@gmail.com. My name is Eric Carter, and I am your host, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Joe Fornerado. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Eric. What's going on today?
Oh, second attempt at this. Hopefully we can get this through this recording. Peek behind the curtain. This is our second attempt. We had technical issues, which turned out to be my technical issues. So hopefully this is a good attempt for you guys.
Yeah, I made it definite that it is your problem. It could have very well been my issue, but it's pretty convincing now that we assumed it's your problem.
Yeah. So, well, when you have you know what, too much in the weeds. We just won't get into it. But yes, it was my fault. But we are here now, so you guys know what we're here to talk about. You've seen the thumbnail, you've clicked on the episode, but before we get there, it's the summer of Superman.
And apparently it's Superman Day again.
You told me that earlier, so explain. What did you see about Superman Day
I
as
got an
we
email.
record this? Because
I got an email that said Happy Superman Day from DC Shop. I'm like, wait, wasn't Superman Day like 2 months ago? It was like the first issue of Action Comics that came out with Superman Day, and now today is another Superman Day. I don't know what it is. I didn't look into it. I'll be honest. I did not look into it to get any type of verification. But yeah, I got an email today from DC Shop saying celebrate Superman Day. And I'm like, oh, okay. Sure.
That's so strange because I haven't seen that like anywhere. Like I haven't seen anybody post about it or.
Yeah, I gotta look and see where I saw that. I definitely saw it somewhere today. Yeah, all right, McFarlane Toys. Celebrate Superman Day. That's what it was. Oh. June 12th.
Okay, well, happy Superman Day then
Yeah.
again, I guess. Which that is Superman Day as we record this, but it will not be that day when this episode is released. So sorry. Um, but it is, regardless of if whether it's Superman Day or not, it is still the summer of Superman. And you know, Joe, I was earlier this week while I was working on things that we might want to discuss for the summer of Superman. I was thinking of some of those deep, burning Superman questions I could ask you and really throw you for a loop. But James Gunn kind of swooped in and saved you because I don't think we're going to need to pull any questions from the Superman archives tonight. We've got plenty to talk about. Um, Tickets are officially on sale. The preview showing, the Amazon Prime
Mhm.
showing, went on sale several days ago. You and I have both secured tickets to that.
Yes.
And we got a brand new trailer for Superman, which is the tickets on sale now trailer, which I think I'm gonna give Jamie Drewley credit because I think he was pretty adamant that this was gonna happen. We were gonna get a final trailer, quote unquote, and then tickets on sale with that. And that's exactly what happened. So the regular showings tickets are now on sale after the release of this trailer. But Joe, the Amazon Prime tickets that went on sale, you and I, like I said, we both got some tickets for that. How excited are you? We finally secured tickets to this movie. We're going to be able to see it in a little less than a month.
Well, I'm excited that they gave us a month to kind of prepare for that early screening because I always remember I'm trying to remember I guess it was The Flash. A lot of these movies will give like the surprise early screening at like really limited theaters. And it'll be like the Monday or Tuesday prior to the movie coming out. And I'll be like, oh man, I didn't even get to finish my rewatch because I had it all synced up to Thursday.
Mm,
And so now at least I can plan on seeing it. I guess it's July. Is it July 8th or 9th? What is it?
the 8th, July
Okay.
8th.
So I'm glad that we know and we're getting it. And it seems to be pretty much almost every theater, which is nice. So it's if you have a Prime subscription, you better be able to go to this in some way.
So it is limited release.
It's limited, but it's not as limited as like to a state or something like that, where
Yeah, yeah,
it's pretty widespread. But I'm
yeah,
excited. I'm glad that we were able to get those tickets. It's easier for me selfishly to get to the movies on a Tuesday night than it is on a Thursday night. My wife usually works late on Thursday night, so it would be hard for me to get out and, uh, f figure out something to do with the kids. It's easier on a Tuesday.
sure.
And we get to see the movie 2 days earlier, which is fun.
Yeah, and I mean, just to clarify, when I say it's limited release, like in a more rural area, like where I am, we have a movie theater right down the street, but both of the options I had were both IMAX theaters. They're
Mhm.
both a good little hike from my
Okay.
house, so I am going to have to travel
What's that, like
about
half hour?
45 minutes
Oh,
ish.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I guess I am lucky because my local theater is an IMAX theater. It's not a real IMAX theater. It's a, as they say, Limax theater or fake IMAX. So
yeah,
I'm lucky that way. But yeah, so I can go to my local theater and see it, which is nice. And sometimes when they do these limited things, my local theater won't even get them. So,
yeah, yeah. So, with that being said, though, that brings up my next point, which is really exciting. First of all, as much as I love those free screenings that they gave us, those fan screenings in the past, I think sometimes that kind of bites these studios in the butt when they give them away for free a few days before the actual
yeah.
release date. These were absolutely not free. You had to pay for these, but with these going on sale, you can see the excitement for this movie because earlier, last week, the Fantastic Four First Steps tickets went on sale, and shortly after that, it was announced that it had the highest selling day one pre-sale tickets for the year for 2025 thus far.
Hmm.
Well, this Superman early Amazon Prime release has outpaced the Fantastic Four first steps and now has the largest day one ticket sales of 2025 thus far, which is super exciting because I mean, it's been a long time since something DC has outpaced something Marvel. So,
And that's just the limited release.
exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
limited release for Superman outpaced the full pre release for the Fantastic Four. That's that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that will mean when we get to final box office, but I do think it shows that there is excitement for this movie. That when we got the first teaser trailer, that thing blew up
Mhm.
a ton of people watched that in the first 24 hours. Now we're getting good data on the ticket sales for that opening day. And I mean, there's early projections that have come out that are indicating that this is projected to have a really, really strong opening weekend. So I hope that's true. I hope that happens for Superman and the cast and crew.
Yeah, I hope it's true too. And I hate to be the not the Debbie Downer, but like we talk about how much excitement there was surrounding The Flash. And The Flash is always the movie that we keep going back to with this kind of stuff because there was so much hype surrounding that movie prior to release. And there were definitely skeptics going in and certain things we could kind of see where the wheels were started to fall off a little bit. But that movie was tracking very similarly to how Superman is tracking right now. Um, which is kind of scary. But again, I think it's a very different animal. I,
It is.
those
The
were
fla-
early trackings, I think. I think it was much earlier when it was tracking like that. And then as we got closer, it started to get lower and lower.
Yeah, that kind of came more from those awesome reactions out of CinemaCon for the
Yeah.
Flash, which was months ahead of when it released.
So like maybe that wasn't actually going by data of people buying tickets and all that. I mean, clearly something had to have gone wrong with that speculation. But
Yeah.
yeah, and again, I don't want to, harp too much on that, but it's just as a DC fan, you can't help but try to pump the brakes a little bit on yourself because we've been here before and we've had the excitement before, and this does feel different. I just hope it is truly different and it's a new era and it's going forward as opposed to The Flash, which was the end of an era and the end of such a torn fan base and everything that we've been through since really
Not
since
to
Man of
mention
Steel.
Not to mention that movie had its own set of baggage outside of
Yeah.
just what it was carrying
Yep.
with DC.
So
So,
enough of that. But yeah, I'm
yeah,
I'm excited that Superman is seems it seems really positive. And of course there's going to be the vocal, minority out there, the people that want to hate on this movie instantly, and I get it. And I just again, I think Jamie said it where he's like, "Why would you root for a movie to be bad because you love another movie? If this movie's great and it's better than your favorite movie, that means you now have two awesome movies." So like, I want this to be better than Man of Steel. I think that says it perfectly. If this movie to me is better than Man of Steel, well, I still love Man of Steel. So that means this movie is even better than that. That's awesome.
yeah, and let me be perfectly honest. I in no means buy into a lot of the DC versus Marvel stuff.
No.
I generally haven't except when I get really frustrated. But I want the Fantastic Four to do well too. I mean, I think, and Kevin Feige has said this.
Well, I'll say this.
It's better. It's
I want it
better
to do
overall.
well if it's a good movie.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But Kevin Feige has said, because he wants to see DC succeed.
Hmm.
Because a rising tide raises all ships.
Hmm.
If Superman is a crowd pleaser and does well, the general audience doesn't think about Marvel and DC. They
No.
think about superhero movie. So
Hmm.
if this one does well, that's going to get people excited to get back out in a couple of weeks and see the next one,
Yeah.
which is the Fantastic Four. So I hope they both do well. And
Yeah.
I've liked the trailers for both, honestly.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I've been trying
um,
really hard to kind of avoid trailers, so I haven't even watched the new Fantastic Four trailer.
well, and we were about to dive into this tickets on sale trailer, the IMAX trailer for Superman, and you haven't finished that one, right? So
So
you didn't watch the whole thing?
I don't know if I didn't watch the whole thing or I didn't watch it with sound on. I just kind of saw clips of it, and I think I saw the whole thing. I watched it once on my phone, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to dissect it. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna move on and That's it. And I saw some stuff I liked. I mean, it looked fun. I talked a little bit about like Lois being in the ship, which I thought was cool. I didn't realize that it was a little contentious for people. I just thought it was very comic booky, and I thought it was fun.
I
Um,
haven't seen one thing of contention, so I don't even
yeah,
want
so
to
I
know.
don't know, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, the only contention I will say that I've seen is there's a few people that I've seen that aren't crazy about Superman punching the guy and the teeth hitting the
Mm,
camera lens. And I'm like, that's
whatever.
there's
Are
going to be a
they
little bit
don't
of
like the
James Gunn
look?
in
They
there.
don't like the look of it, or do they think it's too violent for Superman?
I think it maybe a step too far in the comedic for some folks.
Uh, I had more of an issue with the line of um someone says like I'm trying because I only saw it the one time where someone's like, "Hey, stop fooling around over there" or something. And he's like, "I'm not fooling around. I'm doing something really important." Like
Oh,
Superman
I
makes some
loved it.
weird.
I loved it.
To me, like if anything, that seems more of the James Gunn comedy than the punch. I had no issues with the punch. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So overall, though, and we won't dissect the trailer because I know you didn't really dive into it too much. I have watched it on repeat. I've watched it multiple times. Um, First of all, Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor voice.
Hmm.
I just want to punch him in the mouth, and I think he's gonna be so perfect. Just and that I say that in a good way. Punch him in the mouth. I
Yeah.
he is such a smarmy Lex. I can already tell. And he had said not long ago that he partially shaped his Lex Luthor around Michael Rosenbaum's,
Hmm.
which listening to his voice in this trailer makes a lot of sense because he it almost sounded like a Smallville Lex cadence a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean the threats, like he threatens Lois in the trailer.
Hmm.
Your friend that always interviews you from the Daily Planet, and he said, "I'm sure," or he says something to the effect of, "I'm sure you have parents somewhere. I'll kill them too."
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, this is
That was the
he's
line I remember.
he's a dirtbag. But yeah, I mean, it's if possible, and at this point, like it's a fever pitch for me to I want that date in July to come so badly. I'm so ready to see this, and this trailer just ramped that up even more. Um, we finally got to look at his heat vision
Hmm.
in this trailer. What did you think of that? Because I know you had to have at least seen that when he whips around like a
So I
little
didn't,
heat
I
vision
heard,
tornado.
no, so I heard about it and I didn't focus on it and I haven't really paid attention to it. So I haven't gone back and watched it. I have
Okay, so
no
you're kind
opinion.
of just checked out of anything trailer
Yeah,
wise.
it's just because I don't need to kind of search it out anymore. I'm good. I got my tickets. I'm going to see the movie. Let me be surprised.
Okay. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Well, then I won't beat it to death anymore. I will just say that I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait. Can't wait for this movie.
Yeah.
But there have been, and I don't know. This isn't like stuff that's in trailers or anything. Have you seen any of the little clips that they're doing? Like Fandango had a really good interview with the cast and James Gunn.
Hmm.
If you haven't checked that out, highly recommend it. It's nothing to do with it's just kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of just like they talk. They have a really good conversation with David Cornsweet about the suit,
Hmm.
and just how he felt about the suit, and they've got so many good things about like having kids on set. And James Gunn just reiterates how he loved seeing kids' reactions to seeing David in the suit,
Hmm.
which is so amazing because they said again, when a kid sees an actor in the Superman suit, they're not seeing a
Yeah.
guy in a suit; they're seeing Superman. So that's just so cool, and it makes me feel even more like this is going to be an accessible Superman movie.
Yes. And that is the hope that it's going to be, you still want those adult themes, you still want some stakes and all that, but you want it to be accessible for the kids. You want it accessible enough so you can take some, older kids, or if not, some, I would hope to be able to take a 6 or 7 year old if I could. Hopefully the adult stuff will go over their head enough. That's my thinking.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I've just got one question for you since we're talking about the suit and things like that, and then we'll move on to our main event. So, Superman question for this episode of TFR and our continuation of the Summer of Superman. Joe, trunks or no trunks?
Honestly, as I think it's the dumbest argument in the world. I don't
It is.
care. I hate it. The only reason I would say, because I think logically, I don't like the idea of the trunks. I think I don't need them, but I like aesthetically having the red break up the blue.
Hmm.
So I could go either way. If it's done, fine. I don't care. I really don't. I am indifferent. I don't think one way is bad and one way is good. That's it's a cop out maybe, but I really, if I had to say something, I would say no trunks and find a way to have red there somewhere to break up the color. That would be my ideal. But again, I'm in the design world, that's not as easy to do as it sounds. I like if the Man of Steel or BVS suit had like a really cool like red belt, I think maybe that would have really worked for me. That kind of thing.
Like Hoagland's suit. He had that really bright, that really
Yeah.
stand out red belt.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and Hoagland was the first thing that popped into my mind because it's a little bit of the new 52
Hmm.
design where he has that red tapered V belt,
Hmm.
which gives you that pop of red, so you don't have to have the trunks, but you've still got the separation of all the blue. Um, yeah, I really think it. I just really think it depends on how it looks. I'm not adamant one way or the other. I can't I can't pretend like that Man of Steel and BBS suit though. That's still tops
Yeah.
for me, and it doesn't have
It
it. So
is. So
yeah,
like, and I know he Snyder even said he really did try to get the trunks on there to work, but I think for that aesthetic it just didn't work. And I love those suits without the trunks. So again, but I also think it would like because we've seen Corrin sweatsuit, that might look weird without the trunks. You know, we don't
yeah.
know. So do what's best for whatever story you're telling or whatever aesthetic you're going for. I don't think there's a right or wrong.
So and that was a fun part of that. I'm gonna have to send you that Fandango interview because it's
I
really
watch
funny.
all that stuff after, as stupid as it is. Like, I'd rather just save it for after
There's
the fact.
nothing in it that's spoilery with the movie, I promise.
All right.
But there was a little brief segment where the interviewer was asking Gunn about the suit
Mhm.
and about the trunk specifically. And he said the first thing I did when we were designing the suit was I called Zack Snyder
Yeah.
and we had a conversation
I've
about it.
heard that him talk about that where he said
Yeah.
that's where I was getting my information was he said to Snyder and Snyder told him we
Yeah.
tried every way we could to make the trunks work and it just didn't look right. I've heard that I've heard Gunn talk about that before.
Yeah.
And it was Corn Sweat that convinced him let's just do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he
The
kind
wrestler
of
thing and
well, and he said, you know, that if he said David was very adamant. He said, and if if the guy that's got to wear this, his underwear on the outside of his suit wants to do it, it's kind of like, well, how do you go against that? But
yeah.
he said David Corn Sweat's main argument was it's silly that you would wear your underwear on the outside of your suit, but it brings down the gravitas of this guy that's so all powerful and
Hmm.
this godlike being, and it introduces an element that may bring down that seriousness when
Yeah.
he's talking to regular people or talking to kids.
Hmm.
He doesn't look like this terrifying being that he actually is.
Yeah.
Which I can go with that because, and again, it looks good on this version of the suit. So as long as it looks good, that's all I really care about.
Yeah, and I think, especially with the bright blue, I think the bright blue or the vivid blue needs that red to break it up.
Yeah, I mean, think about, um, I mean, even Brandon Routh's suit would not look it would look wonky without the
Yeah.
trunks.
Hmm.
So,
Those
all
maroon
right,
trunks.
yeah, the maroon trunks. All right. Well, we'll put a pin in it for our Superman celebration there, and we'll get into what we're here to discuss today. So we have another big Batman anniversary, Joe. So gosh, these make me feel older and older each one that we cover. But today we're here to talk about the 2005 film from Christopher Nolan, Batman Begins. Right. So, Joe, Batman Begins was released 20 years ago on June 15th, 2005. Again, directed by Christopher Nolan, starring Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, Katie Holmes, Gary Oldman, Cillian Murphy, Tom Wilkinson, on and on and on. Written Screenplay written by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer, based on a story by David S. Goyer. So Joe, 20 years of Batman Begins. How do we sum up what this film has meant to the character of Batman? Because it's almost as pivotal as it gets for Batman on film.
It's very odd to me that this is 20 years old, and I was just rewatching Superman Returns, and Superman Returns is 19 years old. I feel like Superman Returns is much older than this. And I feel like that happens a lot when I watch movies that came out around the era of Batman Begins, where
Hmm.
it still doesn't feel like Batman Begins is an old movie. This movie could come out today, and I think it still works. Um, but it's still really hard to accept that it's 20 years old. It does. I think I said it on the last episode. I don't know what makes me feel older, that this is 20 years old or Batman Forever is 30 years old. It's for some reason, this being 20 years old seems worse because I was a kid when Batman Forever came out. I was kind of an adult when this one came out.
Yeah, I was in high school still.
Yeah,
So
I was 19 when this came out. So,
yeah. So I don't know, like Batman Forever being 30 years old kind of it makes me feel older, but it kind of fits because it just feels like such a time capsule from the 90s.
yeah.
But this movie feels so modern
Well,
even
think about how,
today.
yeah, like 10 years between those two movies. We came a long way in 10 years to now. Have we really come that far in 20 years since this movie? Like again, I feel like we
If
haven't.
you ask the people that didn't like the Batman, no, we have not.
Yeah, like we're still trying to go back to this almost, and
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I think it's a compliment to this movie that some people are just not willing to move past it, for lack of a better term. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I still listen, I love this movie. I don't want to harp on the fact that maybe sometimes we're stuck in this movie or this trilogy, but I get why we are because it's that good. And
Hmm.
I mean, this movie, between the anniversary of Batman Forever and this, and it being the month of Superman or the summer of Superman, where we've been rewatching all these Superman movies, I was worried I wasn't going to find time to watch this movie, and I watch this movie all the damn time, but I wanted to watch it again, and I luckily found time to watch it. Uh, you know, Speaking of like things that are accessible to younger children, I mean, I don't think this is a kids movie by any means, but I can have this on when the kids are around and it's not that bad. I mean, my son
Yeah.
doesn't care about anything. My daughter gets scared of the little things, but my son, I mean, I can put this on and he just does his thing and it's fine. Um,
Yeah.
and I can show
Whereas,
him the
and
cars and the Batmobiles and he loves
yeah,
that stuff.
and this is not at all to take a shot at those films because I do love the Snyder movies, but I mean I can't say the same thing about like BVS because there are some moments that are pretty heavy and kind of frightening for
Yeah.
kids in that.
It's one of those things where like I can have it on in the background at least. I don't think it's that bad. Where like they're
Right.
gonna get frightened if it's on in the background and they're not paying attention. But it's one of those where if I notice them looking at the screen for more than like 5, 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, like this might not end well.
Yeah.
But
Which I mean to say
there
that
are moments in this.
there are some scarecrow
Yes,
sequences in this movie that are kind of intense.
yeah.
So,
But
which
again,
you
it's
you want with Scarecrow.
and also every kid is different. Like my son, nothing bothers him. My daughter, everything scares her. So every kid is different. I don't think it's a director's responsibility to make every movie, to your kid's well-being. I think he has to make the movie he wants to make, and whether that fits your liking or not, that's not on him. I'm sorry. Like not to defend the Snyder films, I don't think he needed to do anything differently. He was making a film that he wanted to make, and
Oh, fully agree.
And I listen, I can almost guarantee you there's going to be things in this James Gunn Superman movie people aren't going to like because it probably is an adult joke that's a little off color and it's going to not be appropriate for kids. I'm sorry, so, I'm making that bet right now. It's going to happen. It's a
Mm.
James Gunn movie. I'm not going to care, but I can guarantee you there are going to be people that care. And whatever, it is what it is. He's making his movie. Um, and yeah, to get back on topic, I mean, Nolan made a serious Batman movie. He made it kid friendly to where kids can like the movie and kids can enjoy the movie, but it's serious and it does have scary moments. Listen, we grew up with Batman 89 and Batman Returns. Nobody cared about our well-being. I mean,
That's true.
so
That's
we were
true.
fine. We all lived. We all survived. We all, lived through Batman Forever and Batman and Robin with all the stuff in those movies. Um, I I love this movie. There's you we've been very lucky since we started this show where we've gotten to gush about a lot of awesome movies because of weird fluke anniversaries that we've kind of worked around or found ways to
Yeah.
talk about. Um, this one to me is perfect. Like I would not change. I don't think I would change anything about this movie. I really can't think of any nitpicks about this movie at all.
So I have one small nitpick that we'll get to later in the conversation, but outside of that, I mean, I'm with you. This to me, this is outside of that one tiny nitpick. This is a perfect Batman movie,
I mean,
and
maybe my one nitpick would be Ra's al Ghul doesn't look like Ra's al Ghul. Like I wish he like didn't have just a suit on. But would that
well,
really work in this movie?
my
You
nitpick
know?
was costuming with the villains.
So I don't
That's
have a problem with Scarecrow. I really don't. He got the mask. He does have the weird little like straight jacket on at the
at
end.
the end, yeah, yeah.
He doesn't bother me. I think the look of Roz or fake Roz in the beginning, I think is pretty cool. Um,
Well, and I even like because to me, like Liam Neeson looks more Roz when it is in the beginning in the ninja
yes.
outfitting. So
But he
yeah,
looks like Descartes also. Like
yeah, but
um
they gave him
yeah, I'm talking
the
more about
little
the
beardy
suit.
points.
Like I wish he had some type of cool. I mean, it's also a white guy playing Ra's al Ghul. Um, little different. I think he's not exact. Like that would be a nitpick though for me.
Mhm.
But again, for this movie, I think it's a perfect representation of those characters and how to fit the story. And that's what Nolan did so brilliantly with all three of these movies, in my opinion, was he didn't say, okay, I want to make a movie with the Joker. What fits that? No, he's like, okay, this is the story. What villains fit that?
Mm.
And I think that's why Scarecrow and Roz work really well in this movie, is they fit the story he wanted to tell.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I mean we talked briefly about it when we ranked the live action Batman movies not long ago. I mean this is my number one, and it
Yeah.
has been for a long time. I absolutely love this movie, and I think the part of the biggest reasons for that is this was the perfect Batman movie for the time.
Yeah.
It was so necessary after Batman and Robin, and for that, that dormant period for several years after, because it was almost. See, Batman and Robin was 97, so it was. I mean, it was almost a decade
Yeah.
before we got another Batman movie.
But think about 8 years. Nowadays, 8 years doesn't seem that long. Back then, that was a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, because I mean, between 89 and 97, we got four.
Yeah.
So
Where now we can go, we might be 8 years between the Batman and the Batman Part Two.
okay, at this point, maybe. Um,
But no, in all seriousness, like we went 4 years between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy when we th put everything into perspective like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I think it was such a switch in not only tone but just the caliber of actors. Because
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, those '90s movies did have some really really A-list actors, Jack Nicholson, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just, amongst that, within those. But it was such a different time and such a different focus, and what they were doing was completely different on those movies.
Want to tie it
Um,
back to the Superman thing.
exactly.
Nolan wanted to do what Donner did for Superman the movie, was cast a great actor that's not particularly well known and surround him with stars. And
Yeah,
that's what he
and he
did.
absolutely did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so weird to think about Christian Bale now being an unknown.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had American Psycho at the time, but that was the biggest billing he had ever had
Hmm.
up to this point. So it was,
I mean, we'll think Cillian Murphy almost, I mean, he did a screen test for Batman.
yeah,
It's pretty weird seeing him in that cowl. It looks so funny to me, seeing him in the cowl with the screen test.
yeah, in the sonar suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. So strange. Um and now I can't. I'm sure if we had seen him in these movies, it would have been the reverse, but now I just can't see it. It's just
No, no.
um but yeah, it's just, and I honestly, when I saw this movie for the first time, I had not seen American Psycho at
No,
that
me
point.
neither.
I had
I didn't
no
know who
idea
Christian Bale
who
was.
no. But I immediately knew that I really liked this guy when I saw this movie. And for the longest time, it's one of those strange things where, Americans are just dumb to this kind of thing. For the longest time, I had no idea he wasn't American.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
I think
almost everyone in this movie.
yeah, I think it was to the lead up of The Dark Knight.
Hmm.
When I saw interviews with him, I was like, holy crap, he's he's got an accent.
Well, it's just to go to your point of like actors not being well known. I mean, other than Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine, I knew of them. I don't think I knew Michael Caine as much as I do now,
Mm,
back then. But Morgan Freeman, obviously, I mean, I knew Morgan Freeman more than anyone. But Katie Holmes was probably the biggest star in this movie for a 19-year-old kid, you know?
mm.
She's the one I recognize the most, other than Morgan Freeman.
I knew Liam Neeson,
I
because
did, but not
you want to know why I knew who Liam Neeson was when I saw this movie? Because I was in high school. I had
okay.
just done a report on Schindler's List.
Oh, okay.
So I had
Yeah.
just watched that movie in school. So
And see, I
seeing him, I
watched
was
that.
like, oh,
Yeah, I watched that, but I don't know if I really paid attention to like it being Liam Neeson because I only saw it once in school, I think.
mhm.
Um, so like it was just a time where I wasn't really paying much attention to actors that weren't in comedies or stuff like that. Because Liam Neeson got big after this with the action movies like Taken and all that.
Well, I mean, he was off of Qui-Gon Jinn from Star Wars. He was.
So I wasn't a Star Wars guy back then, though.
Oh, I was with the prequels. That
Yeah, I
was
know
my
you were, but
thing as a
I
kid.
wasn't. I found the Star Wars movies late. I'm a weird
Yeah.
nerd with the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, to that point, between the Phantom Menace and when I saw Schindler's List in high school, I don't think I saw him in anything in between.
Hmm.
So it was like, oh yeah, that guy
Yeah.
when I saw him there. But again, I mean, I went to this movie because I don't even remember seeing trailers for it. This one kind of came out of nowhere for me, which I wasn't looking for it at the time either. Because I mean, like again, this brought me back into loving Batman.
Hmm.
Just happened to notice, I think in the newspaper or something like that, oh nope, I know exactly what it was. At this day and time, my local movie theater, you could call the theater,
Yeah.
and
The
they
list
had a
of the movies and
recording.
stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it would go through the listing of what was in the theater, and I would do that some weekends because looking for something to do. I wanted to go to the movies, and I remember it was not the opening weekend, but he would always, the guy that did the recordings would say, and coming up, and he would list like movies in the coming weeks,
Hmm.
and he said Batman Begins. And I was like, there's a new Batman movie.
Hmm.
So I just went on a hunch I the weekend this opened just to yeah, there's a new Batman movie. I'll go check it out. Wasn't excited about it,
What a time.
and
Imagine just not knowing that a Batman movie was coming out and you just go.
yeah, yeah, cold, no trailers, nothing. So you and came out of the theater over the moon with
Mhm.
this movie. Um, I saw it on a Friday night. The next day, I was in a comic book shop. So I mean, it just
Yeah.
sparked my excitement that much because I remember the next day I picked up several trade paperbacks because I
Mhm.
just wanted to read some Batman. So it's just I can never forget the way this movie made me feel leaving the theater. And I do remember after this movie, this is when I started like poking around the internet for Batman stuff here and there. Not as much as I do now.
Mhm.
But I do remember seeing that people, and I know you've probably heard this thousands of times, but people speculating that this was a prequel to Batman 1989.
So I don't know about speculating because I knew it wasn't,
It didn't
but
make sense to
people were
me at the
missing.
time.
I think people didn't know what a reboot was, so
Hmm.
they assumed it was a prequel.
Hmm.
Not only that, I still remember when The Dark Knight came out and people had no idea this movie existed.
Yeah.
And I had to tell people you should go watch the first one. And they're like, there's a first one? Like it was a weird time. And I still remember, so I saw the trailer to this and it had to have been September, either August or September of 2004, because I remember being at Rutgers and I was only at Rutgers for a month when I when my college attempt. And I remember watching it on my roommate's computer and going, "Huh, they're doing another Batman movie? Like I wonder why or how they're doing that." Because I didn't know what a reboot was or what like I was confused as to what was going on 8 years after Batman and Robin. So I didn't know what to think of it. And I was pretty disinterested. I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty like, ah, whatever. And
Hmm.
again, I was 19 years or I was 18 when I saw the trailer and I turned 19 in August of '05. So I was still 18 when this movie came out. Different priorities as an 18-year-old. Um, I don't remember anticipating this movie, but I
Hmm.
remember watching it opening weekend, and I don't even remember how much into the comics I was at this time. I had to have been into the comics to an extent. Like maybe I had just gotten back into it a little bit, but I remember sitting there watching this movie and thinking, wow, like I remember being impressed by Jim Gordon, the
Hmm.
the representation of him. And that was where I was watching this movie thinking, wow, they did it. And I remember that going through my head of they finally nailed the relationship between Gordon and Bruce Wayne or Batman. And
Yeah.
because that had never really been done in live action. So I was really excited about that. That was my main takeaway. I remember that was the thing I remember the most about loving what I was seeing on the screen.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many things that I just really loved about seeing because there was so much that was being put on screen, kind of like you said for the first time. We had kind of hinted around at the death of the Waynes,
Hmm.
Batman 89. You know, they discuss it briefly, but it's not like they don't go through the entire story. And it was a chopped up, piece of Batman Forever as well. But this was the first time we had fully seen the death of the Waynes in live action.
Hmm.
So it's the first time we had gotten that full origin story and the way that Christopher Nolan laid it out as flashbacks in the middle of also getting that first time we had seen Bruce leave Gotham for a set number of years and train abroad overseas. We saw him kind of gain these skills and abilities. We had never seen that either. Like in all the iterations of Batman we had gotten before, that was so cool. I remember enjoying the first half of this movie so much and then not realizing until much later, holy crap, there's a big stretch of this movie where we don't see Batman,
Yeah.
you know.
And this
But
almost
it's
became the template for how many origin movies going forward where they didn't introduce the superhero till an hour in.
yeah, I mean, look at Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Man of Steel
almost
is basically this. Like it was their
yeah.
version of Batman Begins. And I'm not saying that as a slight at all. I actually think they nailed it.
Yeah,
But
I agree. But yeah, I mean, and what's so funny about that now though is you hear people that will say, oh gosh, I don't want to see the death of the Waynes. We've seen it so many times, it's been done to death.
and now we
Really, we
will.
haven't seen it that much.
Yeah, I mean, I we saw it. Granted, it was just touched upon, but when you think about it, we saw it in Batman '89. We saw it in Batman
Mhm.
Forever. I don't remember. We don't see their death in Batman and Robin, but we see it the funeral talked about, if I remember right, or you just see the flashbacks of Bruce and Alfred. I don't think you see anything with the parents.
No, yeah, it's just kind of well, that one's more about Alfred.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So,
you
but
don't
yeah,
see it
and then
there.
we saw it in Batman Begins. So, and then obviously in BVS. That was when like people said we're sick of it for some reason.
And it was
Um,
just in the opening credits.
yeah, it was done very quickly in a homage to Dark Knight Returns. And
Yeah.
so it's funny. So we were talking about how like I don't remember the timeline on when I got back into comics.
Hmm.
And I had to have gotten back into it right after high school because I had to have read comics prior to this movie coming out. Because there's no way I went into this movie not having any comic knowledge. Like I had to have read Batman Year One prior to this. There's no way I
Hmm.
didn't read at least that because I remember thinking that had to have been why I was so happy with the Commissioner Gordon relationship. But I
Yeah.
don't remember. It's hard when your brain doesn't work anymore and you're 20 years ago is a lifetime.
Getting
There's
old
been
as hell, isn't it?
a lot has changed in 20 years. I mean, I didn't even meet my wife when this movie came out.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy.
I remember one of the biggest things for me is the delineation between Bruce Wayne and Batman in this movie, which
Mhm.
reminded me so much of Batman the Animated Series. Because you had that very aloof playboy Bruce Wayne, his very much the mask that he's putting on. And even Alfred makes the point, points it out in the movie.
Mhm.
If you're going to have all these bruises, if you're going to have these injuries, you need to come up with a reason for why.
I'm not learning polo, Alfred.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then you see him being the obnoxious billionaire playboy, buying a
Yeah.
hotel and swimming in the ornamental pool with these two very pretty girls.
Models, yeah. But then
Yeah.
having it mean something, having there actually be a purpose for it that ties back in at the end was so brilliant. I
Yes.
still love that.
Yeah, because the previous movies, and this is no shot at the previous movies, but they had made Bruce mysterious. They had made him a philanthropist, but they had never really gone to the extreme of
Mhm.
using Bruce Wayne as a cover story,
Yeah.
for an alibi kind of, or just making people put. There was no possible way you would put this Bruce Wayne and Batman in the same conversation. Just
Yeah.
completely different, which I really enjoyed, and I thought Christian Bale did a phenomenal job at it. There's the one sequence during his birthday party, where Ra's al Ghul reveals himself, and
Yeah.
he tells Bruce is like, let me get these people out of here, and and Ra's says, well, you're welcome to explain the situation,
Yeah.
and he just,
He turns it on.
for lack of a better term, he shows his ass
Yeah.
and just acts like a dick. And
And he doesn't
Chris,
care. It works. It gets the people to safety
yeah,
without blowing his cover. And I love the whole thing with you know, uh Batman made it to page one, but Bruce Wayne made it to page six or whatever.
I
Like,
was gonna say the same thing. Yeah, because they even with that they because everybody that left there thought he was a drunk asshole. And then what's the story that hits the papers? Billionaire, drunken billionaire burns down
yeah.
mansion or whatever.
But it didn't make the front page because so it'll be overlooked. It won't be as bad of a deal as everyone made it out to be because Batman got the front page. So I thought that was a cool little thing
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, I think it was such a precedence. It's fascinating that that still with this serious take, they didn't want to just do one villain.
Mhm.
But the way that they did it here, you didn't have, two mustache twirling villains teaming up.
Exactly.
You had Roz using Scarecrow
Hmm.
in this. And you even to that effect, you had Roz using Falcone as
Yeah.
well. So the fact that there's just one main villain and he's using these other more minor villains as kind of chess pawns
Hmm.
to accomplish the goal because Scarecrow has no idea the extent that Roz is going to. He even he tells Bruce that.
Yeah.
He thinks we're holding the city for ransom. He has no idea what our larger goals are. And that's fascinating to me because you see Scarecrow doing everything he can and to terrify the city. Part of it, I think, is just because he gets off on it. He wants to see people scared, which is the whole point of Scarecrow. But part of it's money. He wants to earn as much as he can from Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. But I also love how both of those villains serve the story in that the whole point of Batman is to stop corruption in Gotham. So you have Falcone on that side of it,
Hmm.
where he's protecting Gotham from the underworld, from the mob, from all that stuff. And then you have Scarecrow, who is fueling the whole corruption in Arkham and how that's feeding all that corruption. So they make sense even with Ra's not being involved.
Hmm.
That is what gets Batman, to start up in this universe is the small stuff. He wasn't worried about something like Ra's until after the fact. So it's a
Yeah,
cool way how they organically have the three villains in this movie. They're not working together per se, but they're feeding the story.
yeah. And also, I mean, this story is absolutely more realistic, and let's use the cringe word, grounded.
Grounded.
I heard Rachel Brosnahan say that word in the Fandango Superman interview, and I was like, no, no, don't say that, don't say that.
Oh, that's funny. It's
uh,
funny to say it in that context.
yeah, and I can't even remember what the topic was, but neither here nor there. It just
Yeah.
now when I hear it, I'm like, oh, so people are gonna react. Don't say that.
It's like a drinking game.
Yeah. um, but even though this movie is more serious in tone and it is a little more, realistic, I still think, there's so many directions they could have gone at the end of this movie.
It's a fun balance.
Yeah, and I think my biggest knock on the rest of this franchise, the two other
Hmm.
movies to come, they didn't maintain the
The aesthetic.
atmosphere
Yeah.
and the aesthetic of this movie.
This
Gotham
is
looks so cool in this movie.
yeah, and he's going so what made Nolan what he was with this trilogy is he never wanted to repeat himself. But it also comes to the blow of the aesthetic of the films because all three films look very different.
Hmm.
Where I think continuity wise, the films work, but he also wanted each film to have its own look and its own story and its own aesthetic. I would have preferred probably if they kept the same aesthetic, but
Yes,
also would The Dark Knight work if it kept the same aesthetic? Because it kind of would make it feel like a different movie. So I don't know. It's hard to
possibly.
say. I think
It
it
is
could have
hard to
worked.
say.
It would have felt more comic booky though if he did that, and that's not what he was going for with The Dark Knight, where this is a true comic book origin story. With
Yeah, because I mean, it
The
feels
Dark
like
Knight
the
isn't.
greatest hits.
Yeah.
Batman Begins is the greatest hits of some of the best Batman comics that have ever been written.
Hmm.
I mean, you've got some of the Man Who Falls in here. You've got some of the Long Halloween, some Batman Year One. There's just so much, just really great pulls from the
And it,
comics.
and as much as we all love Christopher Nolan and David Goyer for this, we have to give credit to Jonathan Nolan for doing a lot of the comic book legwork for Christopher Nolan, where he's the
Yeah.
one that was, is he the one that was really adamant on the Scarecrow mask, right? From what we heard, or was that Goyer?
I can't remember, to be
I
honest.
know I know Jonathan had a big influence on a lot of the comic book elements in this trilogy, but I don't remember what exactly um he deserves credit for, because I think it's also a slight to Christopher Nolan that a lot of people will use to say he's ashamed of comic books, or he's not into comic books as much as we would like him to be. I don't, from everything we've heard, that's not the case. He's just not, he tries to have it fit into a different world because he's the director. He's the the movie maker, where the other people around are like, no, you can do this though. It's okay. Like, and they push him into that other direction, and he's willing to go there sometimes if it works, which is nice. That's what collaboration is, and he's at least open to that to an extent.
Oh, for sure. And I'm not at all taking a shot at Christopher Nolan for his choices because again, like you said earlier, I mean, they are his films. It's just it's an aesthetic nitpick
Hmm.
from the two sequels that I much prefer the look of Gotham in the first one.
Yeah,
I do
I
think
agree to it. I was playing devil's advocate a
Devil's
little bit.
Advocate,
I
yeah.
agree with you because I do prefer this look, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons why I prefer this movie to the other two.
Hmm.
But I just don't know. I mean, he did it for a reason for the next two films, so it's hard to say how it would have been different.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things the train through the city
Yeah,
that the Waynes found, started. They got the train built. The train is a major element
component.
in this
Yeah,
movie,
and it's just
and
not there anymore.
it's just not there anymore
I mean,
after
you could
this
argue
one.
it's not there because it was destroyed at the end, so maybe
One
that's the.
portion that
I know,
easily
I know.
easily could have been rebuilt, but I see what you're saying. But I just think that's one of the things, with the train and it being such a pivotal part of the story, the look of the Narrows, the look of Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, it's
This
very
movie
different.
it just screams comic book. And
Do we see Arkham again?
I don't think so.
No, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, but I mean, moving forward, that's something that I would have liked to have seen in the other two. But I mean, I still love those movies. But it is a major reason why this one
Yeah,
is higher on my list
yeah.
than those two.
Like I said before, that's the downside to him. He never wanted to repeat himself,
Hmm.
but it as nerdy comic book fans who love the universe, we want to see more of what we love. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a catch-22. You can't please everyone. And again, I'm glad he made the movies he wanted to make, and we got a little bit of everything we wanted, where maybe we missed out on getting more of some of the stuff we really loved.
Hmm.
It's tough.
Yeah, and I mean that same conversation we can have almost copy and paste with the aesthetics of Gotham. You can copy and paste that conversation with the aesthetics of the Batsuit for me.
Mm, yes.
I understand the reasoning. I understand the story behind why they went with the Dark Knight suit and the Dark Knight Rises suit. But my preference is the Batman Begins suit. It's
100%.
so imposing. It has such a
The
just
silhouette.
yeah, the silhouette's so
The
good.
neck. I'm so I love the neck. I know that's probably the main reason why they changed it, but the
Yeah,
the cowl and the neckline is just it's so imposing. It really is. It's
yeah,
scary looking.
it is, and he looks. I'm sorry, I know there's going to be people that disagree with me. He looks so much less intimidating in the Dark Knight suit to me than he does in this suit.
Yeah.
He looks like a feral beast in that Batman Begins suit.
And I know there's always the joke about how he lost or he gained too much weight for Batman Begins.
Hmm.
but he's definitely bulkier in Batman Begins, and I don't think it's a downside. I think that's the plus to Batman Begins is he is more, like you said, he's more intimidating in this movie, looks wise.
Yeah.
I don't, he doesn't have that scariness to him in The Dark Knight of the Dark Knight Rises. Now, mind you, that might be the point, is he's not playing that same type of character in the next two movies. It's not, the theme to this one was fear. That's not what they were going for in the next two movies. So they did something different. Again, Nolan had a reason for everything he did. We're just gonna, praise this movie for we liked what he did with this movie better.
Yeah. And I think there's just so many shots in this movie of him just like, cause I don't know why, but he had more range of motion. He had more flexibility in the suit that they went with in the Dark Knight. And for some reason, you don't see him in those more accessible Batman poses that you see him in this movie.
Yeah.
You see him
Crouching and
crouching. You
oh yeah.
see just, I mean, he just looks so good. Even in that shot in the train station when he
He's
rescues
talking to Rachel.
Rachel.
Yeah. That's
That
definitely the one that's always stood out for me. Even there's a shot of him just standing on a gargoyle that's so underrated.
yes, so good.
I don't think I ever noticed it as much as I did on this past rewatch where I'm like, why don't we ever see that just like randomly on the internet of that shot? Like
Yeah.
I love all the BVS shots and the Justice League shots of Affleck in the suit where everyone is, oh, this is straight out of the comics. That shot from him in this movie is straight out of the comics. Like, but it
Yes.
seems like no
I feel
one
like the
ever
Bale
wants
shot
to.
that you see all the time is the one of him standing in the rubble in the Dark Knight.
Yes.
And as good as that shot is, don't get me wrong, it's a great shot. I think there are 10 shots in Batman Begins that are better. Just with that suit.
Yeah, it's just because The Dark Knight is the movie that everyone kind of goes back to.
Yeah.
Um, and this movie does, and maybe that's why comic book nerds always feel like we have to put this on our top list because it's like we have to, for some reason, we feel the need to defend this movie because The Dark
Yeah.
Knight gets all the praise, which is so stupid because they're both brilliant movies. But no casual moviegoer thinks this is the better movie, I feel.
Mm.
Where we as comic book fans are like, oh, you like The Dark Knight? You should really focus on Batman Begins. Like
Yeah.
that's the one we have to always bring up. And I think now because The Dark Knight Rises, even though I think fans have kind of ripped it to shreds over the years, to me, wrongfully so. I think it's fair to say it's flawed. But in the general audience, I think The Dark Knight Rises is the reason why most general audience members went back to Batman Begins because it became a trilogy where The Dark Knight came
Mm.
out. Most people didn't even know Batman Begins existed. I still remember, I had already said it, but trying to tell people to go back and watch it because
Yeah, I mean,
it's,
all you got to do is look at the numbers.
yeah,
When Batman Begins came out, I mean, at the time it was a modest success. It made 373 million off of a 150 million dollar budget. At that day and time, that was a modest success.
yeah,
Today, that would nearly be
it's
a
a
flop.
flop. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, but it launched two more movies that made over $1 billion each.
Yeah,
So
this is when WB didn't panic because a first movie didn't make $1 billion. This movie was a modest success, but it was praised by critics, and they gave Nolan the keys to the kingdom after this movie.
yeah, for sure. And it's been meme to death now, but I still adore the Batman Flass interrogation
Oh, I do too.
when he just yanks him up to the ups and holds him upside down.
I
First of
can't
all,
take my eyes off of the what is it, Sazaki sauce on his face from the gyro or hero, whatever you want to call it. That to me is I don't know why it grosses me out every time I watch it, but I can't not look at it on his beard.
but I think that was pre where Bale pushed the voice a little too far. I think he hit a perfect balance in that scene with the
Yes,
voice, and
because it's a menacing voice,
he is
not
so
a
scary.
modulated voice.
Yeah, but he's just holding him by the hair. And I love what they do with that sequence or the choice that Christian Bale made. He is so angry.
Yeah,
His face is
he's
shaking.
shaking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it. It's terrifying. And another sequence that I think is vastly underrated and kind of forgotten at this point because so many people, for good reason, hyperfixate on the Martha rescue from BVS. The first appearance of Batman
Yes.
in this movie,
We're on the same page on almost everything you're saying, by
good.
the
It-
way. Shocking.
it's almost a horror movie.
Yeah.
The way he's taking out these guys and they're terrified. They're running around. They don't know what's happening. You're seeing these brief little glimpses of him just pop out and grab somebody and fly off. It's so good. It is
Well,
so good.
and it's such an interesting way to reveal the hero, where you don't get a good look at him the whole sequence. The
Hmm.
money shot is at the end when you get the I'm Batman line and he headbutts Falcone. And it's a great payoff to an awesome scene. But we
And
waited.
there's
No, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead. There's that killer that I didn't see before the movie, but I've seen 100 times since then. There's that killer moment from the trailer as well, where the thug is going, he's frustrated and he screams, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
And behind him, here. That's so good too, and it adds to the atmosphere of what he's trying to accomplish with introducing this vigilante to Gotham.
And I love the nice coat line. I love that
I
payoff
do
with the
too.
coat. I think they're like, I know they've always criticized Nolan for not having humor in his movies. I think there's a really fun nature to this movie. Um,
Yeah.
I guess maybe in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, it kind of loses that little bit of playfulness that this movie has. I
Yeah,
think there are
because
moments though, like in The
and again,
Dark Knight with the big dog and the, when he's like, but again, it's a different tone. The movie is just a different tone. So there's less moments for that. Where in this movie, it's an optimistic movie. So
yeah,
you can
and I
have
don't
that.
think if I had not seen this movie and I had just seen The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, I would not have thought that this version of Batman would have an I'm Batman moment
Hmm.
because it doesn't it really doesn't fit with what
Yeah.
happens later. But I love that it's there, and Christian Bale really does a good delivery on that
Yeah.
because I cannot imagine as an actor, as cool of a line as it is, doing that line read has got to feel funky or
Yeah.
weird. And
Yep.
he does such a good job delivering it.
It is a really great payoff to the introduction of him. And yeah, there's like between that and the whole interaction with Morgan Freeman when they're test driving the Batmobile for the first
Yes.
time. Um, some really fun moments because again, this is, I'm watching right now Alfred, talking about the problem with the graphite in the suit or the cowl. Like there is some fun moments because again,
Hopefully they'll fix it with the next 10,000.
this is an optimistic Batman. He's just starting out. He is excited to get out there and, save Gotham. A lot of crap happens in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises to change the mindset and change the tone of those films. But
And to give her flowers, because I know a lot of people like to
I want
retroactively crap on
I wanted to
Katie
go there
Holmes.
next, so I'm happy you're bringing that up.
I was kind of trying to go in because I've heard it so much over the years. The night before last when I watched this, popped in my 4K, which this movie looks great by the way. But I kind of went about it with an analytical eye towards Katie Holmes, and I really don't have anything bad to say about her in this movie. I thought she did pretty good.
So I never had any issues with her as an actress in this movie.
Mm.
This is the first time, this is going to sound really stupid, which I say a lot of stupid things, so it's okay. But there is such a disconnect with me between this and The Dark Knight. I have never felt emotional when Rachel dies in The Dark Knight. It's a
Mm.
shocking moment for sure, but I was never sad because I
Do you
have a
think you
hard,
would have been if that continuity would have been there with
so
Katie Holmes?
So this time, literally, this is the first time that it has ever dawned on me. And again, this is the stupid part coming. I'm
Mhm.
watching Batman Begins for the 84,000th time that I've seen this movie. I don't know how many times I've seen this movie.
Sure.
And I'm watching the end of the movie where she is having the heart to heart with Bruce and saying, one day when Gotham doesn't need Batman, maybe I can, we can be together. It
Hmm.
was the first time that it occurred to me, oh shit, she dies in the next movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it never, because to me, it's like two separate characters. Like I've never been able to get past the recast because they're played so differently. And it's not a gripe at Maggie Gyllenhaal. It's just a very different characterization in that movie.
No, and Maggie should have played it the way that she felt it should be
Yes,
played.
she shouldn't be trying to play,
Katie
Katie
Holmes.
Holmes playing Rachel Dawes, but
Yeah.
it's a very hard thing because I never bought that Rachel and Bruce's relationship in that movie because they don't really have one in that movie. She's with Dent. In
Hmm.
this movie, I feel their childhood love or whatever it may be because it is kind of a romantic thing, but it's not. It's more of a friendship from since they were kids. I felt that in this movie. I've never had a complaint with her in this movie. But it does lose something with her death in the second one because it's a different actress in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's just like I just alluded to. I think it's just that continuity thing where just
Hmm.
it takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and again, that's nothing against Maggie Gyllenhaal because I think she does an excellent job in The
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
And like I said, with The Dark Knight, it's more the death becomes a shocking thing more than it becomes an emotional or sad thing for me, which again, it's supposed to be shocking, but I guess I wish I felt more of an emotion towards that death. And
I feel worse for Alfred in that movie than I do
yeah,
to anything else with the
yeah,
whole letter thing. But
yeah.
that's neither here
Yeah,
nor
again, we're
there.
talking about Batman Begins, but to me, that's my way of saying I do give Katie Holmes props because I don't have an issue with her in this movie. I do buy the relationship. I think she's a fine actress in this. I think it was just a cool thing to kind of crap on her, where she was the it girl at the time that they probably felt Nolan had to hire, where we don't know if that's true or not, but that's how fans have kind of perceived that. To me, it almost feels like Malin Ackerman in Watchmen, where like she's the one that everyone kind of kills for that movie too.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, like people just kind of find, the it girl to crap on and say they're a bad actress because they're cute. I don't know. Like I've never really had an issue with that either. I know she's not the best actress, but it just kind of is the thing that we do as fans for some reason.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really, really want to make sure we touch on is the third act of this film. I mean, this is such a well constructed third act. Um, from the time that we discover what Scarecrow and Roz's plan is, what they're doing, the whole the lockdown of the Narrows. It's a race against the clock for Batman to stop the train and to stop Roz. Everything that Batman has to go through here at the end of it, because he has to, first of all, he has to figure out what's going on and he has to get to the Narrows. He drops into the Narrows or flies in with the tumbler and then transfers that to Gordon.
Oh, we didn't even get
Um,
to talk about the chase, the Batmobile chase. I mean, we could talk about this movie forever, but the
yeah,
great Batmobile chase kind of goes without saying one of the
yes,
best Batmobile chases ever.
absolutely. But yeah, just Batman being dumped into the Narrows with this fear toxin everywhere. He has to fight through these crazy people in the Narrows that are under this hallucination. Then he has to fight Roz's thugs. Then he has to chase the train and take down Roz on the train. Man, he goes through so much in this third act, but it is such
It's
a
an action-packed third act. It really
it
is.
is.
It's such a just a great, and I also got to mention the lovely cameo from the guy from The Following. I don't know if you've ever seen The Following,
I don't know.
the first
Maybe.
Nolan movie, Following. Have you ever watched that?
Oh, yes, but it's been a I don't
Okay.
I
So
barely
the
remember it.
main character in that movie is the guy in the water control center.
Oh, the one's like
The
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 one that
younger guy. The younger guy.
Oh, the younger guy. I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about the older guy.
No, the younger guy.
Gotcha. If he may be the older guy, may be the most over the top in the entire movie.
No, the guy
It's gonna
pointing that
blow.
the guy that points at Rachel is the one that everyone crucifies in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Um. Oh, and then to that point, you have the young villain from Game of Thrones in this
Oh,
movie,
that's right.
the
Yeah.
kid.
Who ends up being Robin or John Blake. That you don't remember that? That was like a huge
Was that a theory?
speculation. Oh yeah, that was a huge theory
I don't remember that at
that he
all.
was going to be John Blake. Absolutely. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
no joke, when Dark Knight Rises came out and John Blake starts doing the whole, what do they call it? The Robin vision or whatever they call it. Like the joke of him like, oh, orphan, is it orphan vision? What do they call it? His superpower.
Oh, where
That
he
everyone used
knows,
to joke about.
yeah, where he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman because he had the
Yes.
same eyes, the
But
orphan eyes.
when he said, you don't remember me, but we've met before, in my head, I went, oh crap, they're actually doing it. And I thought it was going to be the little kid because that was a huge speculation. It really
Hmm.
was. Yeah, that was a
I don't remember
speculation
that at
before.
all.
Yeah. But no, I love that. That's such a cool little moment too. That Batman gets to like make this kid like feel all special. 'Cause you don't get a lot of
Yeah,
moments like that with Batman.
I do like that where the kid says the other kids
No
won't
one,
believe me and he gives him the
yeah.
gadget. Yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
don't get
neat.
a lot of that doesn't get talked about enough probably about
No.
this movie, but that's a Batman doesn't get a lot of playful moments with kids and to not be scary for the kids. So that's a cool little moment.
So there is the part at the end that is very debated amongst Batman fans. The
Oh,
I don't have to
it was
kill you.
only it was never debated before. It was
Yeah, or I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you
that
is
was
the
a
line.
non-issue until BVS came out, I feel like.
I I've heard it discussed. I never ever had a problem with it. I honestly didn't think about it.
Because in 2005 nobody gave a crap if our heroes were killing the bad guys.
Yeah.
Because the
Um
internet wasn't around yet. Or it was, but it wasn't like it is now.
yeah, and this Batman definitely had a
That was a
no kill
cheering
rule.
that was a cheering moment when that movie came out. Like we all
Yes.
cheered for that. Like, yeah, damn right, you die. Like you get what you deserve. Also,
Yeah.
Batman doesn't kill; he just kills the entire League of Assassins, burns the place to the ground. He just wouldn't kill that one guy,
Yeah.
and he saved
I
Roz.
I agree. I think it's overly debated
Yeah,
now.
I could not
Um
care any less.
I couldn't either. Never had an issue with it. So, um, I mean, I think I have more issue with him not finding a way to stop all this destruction with the train than I do, than I do letting Roz die.
He let fake Roz die too with no problem. I mean, he let a
Yeah,
lot of people die.
yeah. But yeah. So, is there anything else? I mean, just you talked about that initial Batmobile chase, which is so good, as you said. And I think even better than the chase is the conversation with Bruce and Alfred after the fact going into the birthday party.
Damn good television.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is a good
Pancake.
point. It's a good moment for Alfred too to kind of put him in check and say like, "Hey, like, come on, what are you doing here? Let's reel it back. Make sure you're not doing this for thrill seeking. Keeping
Hmm.
respectful. And so if we're going to talk about awesome moments, I mean, we haven't mentioned the glacier fight, which is just an all timer. Batman and Ra's sword fighting on a glacier is pretty amazing.
Yes, and one of my favorite lines from Roz in the movie or
Of course, we're
Ducard
on
at
the
the time.
exact same page. I know what you're going to say.
I don't know if you do or not,
Rub your
because
chest.
no, it
Rub your.
wasn't the
Oh,
rub
really?
your chest. Nope, it was the when cocky Bruce thinks he's got him,
Oh, yeah.
and Ross says, "You haven't beaten me. You've sacrificed good footing for a killing stroke," and he
Yeah.
dumps him into
Yeah.
the ice. Which for whatever reason, because I loved Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, that whole beginning sequence with him training Bruce just felt like, oh, Bruce Wayne is his new Padawan. That's so cool. So I just love him being the fatherly teacher.
Mhm.
So I mean, in this one, he was kind of a dick, but oh
What
well.
are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I do like the rub your chest though, which I
I love that
think
Christopher Nolan said is complete nonsense. I love that. Where
the MythBusters did too. So
Nolan said it was complete nonsense. You could just get Liam Neeson to say anything and you'll believe it because Liam Neeson just
yeah,
is so convincing, which is awesome.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But was there anything else? I'm sure, like we say all the time, we're gonna end this, and then there's gonna be oh,
I don't think we've
can't.
given Morgan Freeman enough credit right now.
Well, we haven't, but also, I mean, there's the very end of the movie.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
never said
So
thank you.
okay, so I still get teary-eyed when I hear that. I think that is the most perfect ending to a movie
Hmm.
ever. It is my favorite ending to any movie ever, period. I don't know if anything will ever top it. I love it.
And even before the line, the conversation between Gordon and Batman is so good,
Yeah.
and just feels like it should be a comic book
Yeah.
page with multiple panels. Where I love the escalation conversation
Yeah.
where and he's not just talking about weapons, he's talking about, yeah, this is going to escalate things in a weird way.
Oh yeah. And it
and
already
he
has.
and he gives him an example because he's got the Joker
Yes.
card
Which
and
I
lays
was
it out.
not spoiled on. Were you?
Well, I didn't even see trailers before
Yeah,
this,
that's
so
true. So yeah, I
absolutely
am
not.
lucky because I know a lot of our friends online had that and the Ra's al Ghul thing spoiled for them. I didn't have any of that spoiled for me. I was so lucky that I got to see this movie and didn't know any better. But yeah,
No,
the
and my memory is not that great, but I'm fairly certain when he flipped over that card, it was a moment in the theater where I went.
yes.
So,
And it's been a while, but that is straight out of year one, right?
oh,
I'm almost
maybe.
positive. I think that's how year
I think
one ends with the tease for the
there's
man who
reference
laughs.
to the reservoir,
I think
and
yeah.
yeah.
Um so the I never said thank you line is awesome, but the way he turns and just says and you'll never have to. Like
Hmm.
what more special, more Batman thing for him to say to Gordon at the end of a movie.
Yeah.
It gives me chills. Like I love it, and it's corny as all hell. I don't care. I love it. And
The dive off the roof, the great hero
yeah,
shot of him,
listen,
flying towards screen.
I know everyone loves the ending of The Dark Knight with the monologue. I get it. It's awesome, but this tops that for me. Like this is the perfect line to end this movie, and it's the most Batman thing in the world. It's their relationship is what makes these movies for me.
Well, and I agree with you. I prefer this one so far as just loving the sequence. But what both of the movies have going for them is you have Gary Oldman delivery at
Mhm.
the end of the movie.
Yeah,
Because that's why that monologue at the end is so good because
yeah,
it's Gary Oldman delivering it.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree. Just that I think what I enjoy most about it is it's a Gordon Batman conversation to wrap up a Batman story, which
yeah.
feels so right. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, was there anything else that you really wanted to make sure we get in before we wrap it up on our Batman Begins conversation?
No, real quick, I wanna give props to Lucius Fox because
Mm.
Morgan Freeman's performance as Lucius is awesome. We had never gotten that on screen or that. I don't think we've ever really gotten that detailed version of Lucius where he actually is the one that is supplying him with the gadgets instead of Alfred being the one to build everything or whatever. I know it's become a cliche now where everyone's like, "Oh, we need to have a reason for everything." But at the time, that was pretty new and it was a cool way to do it that made
Mhm.
sense. And I love the um he asked him for something. He's like, "Mr. Wayne, um if you don't want to tell me what it is you're doing, I don't have to lie when I'm asked, but don't think of me
Don't
as an
think of me as
idiot."
an idiot.
And
Yes.
it's like plausible deniability. I love it. Like come on, I know what
Yes.
you're doing here. But It
But
works
again,
and
it's
it's
Morgan
fun.
Freeman.
Yes,
He's
it's
so good.
fun, and he's such a good Lucius. He was my big fear in Dark Knight Rises, where we thought he was going to be the one that was killed off. Like we were all worried someone was going to die in Dark Knight Rises. But he's such a staple. My one This has nothing to do with this movie whatsoever. I don't know what made me think of it, but the one character that still has not been seen on screen in a Batman movie that gets so underserved is Leslie Tompkins. And that's like the one character that was never mentioned in this trilogy that I would have loved somewhere. But again, it's pretty packed with everything else. So that's the one character that
And I
hopefully
think
gets their
she
due.
I think she would have fit very well in this world.
Yes.
I think Nolan could have crushed that.
She could have very easily been in charge of the place that Blake is at in the third movie. Like she could
Mm,
have found a way somewhere.
yeah.
But again, that's neither here nor there. We don't need to talk about that. But again, we found ways to kind of find nitpicks in this movie, but it's a 5-star movie for me. Like there's nothing. It is so perfect in my eyes that I have a hard time finding anything to complain about.
Yeah, and I think the last piece that I really want to bring up is the and you said earlier that some people may think the thing I never said thank you, you'll never have to, comes off as corny, but I don't care, and I feel the same way about why do we fall,
Yeah,
so that we can learn to
good
pick
point.
ourselves back
Yeah, we
up.
have to bring that up.
I think it's so good. It's a good through line through the movie, which
Hmm.
happens so much in these three movies. There's
Yeah.
something in the beginning that ties to the end, and the why do we fall, even outside of just an awesome metaphor or saying for a Batman movie, it's a really great piece of motivational
Mhm.
phrasing. Um,
Or just the explanation of the cave being the Underground Railroad, such a cool little thing to tie Batman
yes.
back into that,
Hmm.
actual history and actual, real world, showing that even his ancestors were trying to do the right thing and help people. Really cool.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's a great spot. We'll go ahead and tie the bow on our 20th anniversary celebration of Batman Begins, my absolute favorite Batman movie. I adore it. But before we get out of here, Joe, we have a couple of emails that we want to go ahead and cover. So let's get into those. Our first is from our buddy Jonathan Mercado, and he says, "Greetings, Bat Brothers. I haven't emailed in a while. With the anniversaries of both Forever and Begins coming, I wanted to share memories. Forever came, and I didn't know what to expect since I was 8. But I have fond memories of seeing it in theaters with my grandmother, who loved taking me to the movies. She loved the film because of Jim Carrey, so it was an easy decision of what VHS tape to bring with me when I went to her house. 10 years later, Begins was released when I was graduating high school. The same grandmother who took me to see Forever was in poor health and passed away in July of that year. I saw Begins twice in theaters. I was so excited to get a new Batman. But now that I think back to that year and the transition happening with morning and starting college in the fall, Batman was not only an escape, but it gave me hope. Like our friend Andy said, Batman is a way of life for us. I can't tell you how thankful I am to listen to you guys. Your episodes are a go to for me since episode 1. I cherish leaving the first review and the Killing Joke graphic novel I won from the giveaway. Your podcast is right up there with Holy Batcast. Thank you for being a bright light. Keep up the great work, John. Wow, John. I instantly sent this email over to Joe when I got it. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. I told the story about my relationship with Batman Forever and the reasoning why in our last episode. But there's so many stories that I hear from different people related to the Batman community and um, how Batman's pulled them through tough times, and I absolutely I recognize and I identify with that. Same for me. So again, just thank you for being vulnerable. Fantastic, fantastic story there, and sorry you lost your grandmother, but I really appreciate I really appreciate that Batman helped you get through that because that's really cool. But Joe, again, I sent you this email immediately. So, thoughts for John here.
Yeah, no, thank you, John, for the really, really sweet email. Yeah, anytime, we lose a loved one, we look for anything we can to try to, bring us out of a funk or to just think of the person too in a way that's not gonna maybe it'll get us upset, but it'll help us through, regardless of whether it makes us upset or it gives us something to think about. Other than that, everyone deals with it differently, and sometimes we can deal with things differently from time to time. Like, one minute you want to cry and you want to think of something that reminds you of them. Another minute you might just look for an escape and try to get past it. Either way, I think I've been through some stuff where I think I've used a Batman to kind of help me through. When you look at, a hero doing something to overcome any type of turmoil, it's going to inspire you and it's going to, help you through things. I mean, I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the show, but Brett Cole did that Batman documentary a long time ago. I want to say it was called We Are Batman or We Are Batman. I gotta look it up now. I haven't watched it in a while, but it was actually like a Kickstarter funded thing or
Hmm.
a crowd funded thing that I really wanted to be a part of. And he's a great guy, great speaker. He actually did a Superman documentary after that, and it was all about using Batman as an inspiration for all types of people. And
Mm.
he would speak it. He still is a great speaker. And so it's really nice to hear. And listen, whenever we get an email, it's always nice to hear from anyone that wants to talk to us or wants to at least share their story. But it's really cool to see examples of how these, whether we call them corny or childish or whatever, that some people might refer to these characters as. The truth is, there's no there's no shame in using these kind of things to help us through this stuff. And I think that's where we have to accept, or society should, and this is getting a little deep or whatever, but like y it's very trivial to minimize the impact that these characters have just based off of, oh, they're kid stuff, or oh, they're this. The truth is these characters matter and they mean a lot to a lot of people. And it's really cool to hear examples of that from, people that are listening to me and you sit here and talk about a movie that came out 20 years ago, like, or 30 years ago in Batman Forever. So it's, again, I say it all the time when we get these emails. It's very humbling, and it definitely means a lot because a lot of us all can relate to this kind of stuff, and we've all been in these situations, and it's nice to connect with everybody amongst this stuff. So thank you again, John.
Agreed. We really appreciate it, John. Our final message here is from our good buddy Stuart, and Stuart says, "Hey guys, it's Stuart from Guernsey. I'm going to start off by apologizing for the length of this email, but this is as much as I could trim it down. Now, my journey with Batman Begins is different from others. I mostly hear that this movie was what ignited their love for him again, or other people said they were still fans, but they were not excited or paying close attention after being burnt by Batman and Robin. Did he know that you and I that was our two paths here, Joe? um, so Stuart says, for me, I still liked Batman and geeky things, but between 1997 and 2002, my main focus was pretty much on skating and music. In 2003, Toonami launched here in the UK. They had many animated shows. What caught my attention the most was the huge amount of DC content they were showing. The shows were Static Shock, Teen Titans, Justice League, and what became my favorite show to watch each night at 11 p.m., Batman Beyond. I became obsessed with superheroes again. I went out and got as many DVDs as I could find, which included BTAS, Spider Man vs. Daredevil, X Men, Fantastic Four, The Reeve Superman, and anything else I could get my hands on. So, fast forward a year or so, word started getting around about the next Batman movie was coming out. I followed as much as I could and even remember the first image of the Tumblr being released, which I was really confused by as it didn't look anything like I was imagining it would be. Leading up to its release, I was buying anything I could that was associated with the movie. The big day finally came, and I couldn't have been any happier with what it was. I felt it was the perfect adaptation of Batman. I was on a high all summer. I went to see it as often as I could, And when I wasn't in the cinema, I was at home playing the PlayStation game or reading the graphic novel. I kept telling my best friend how good it was. I think he felt like many others and didn't have much faith after what happened in the 90s. Then, after I convinced him how good it was, we checked for the showtimes, and to our shock, it wasn't being shown anymore. My friend even called the cinema and asked them to start showing it again. Another of my friends said to me he could get a decent-ish copy of the film burnt to DVD, along with Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I was also in love with. How could I say no to that, especially when the release window between cinema and DVD was a lot longer than it is today? Preach, preach. I got
I
a
want to
bone to
say
pick
it
with
was
that.
always December.
Yeah.
These both came, or all three probably came out. Oh no, because this was June, the other two were July. But I remember
Mhm.
Dark Knight was December, definitely December.
Yeah. He gave me the DVDs on a Thursday night. I went home with them. I didn't have any commitments back then, so my time was my own. So if I wanted to watch them, I could have whenever I wanted. The only thing stopping me that night was I had to be at the airport at 6 a.m. to catch a flight to London. It was 9 p.m. and I thought, to hell with it. I'll watch them both and then get some sleep. So I started with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Then I watched Batman Begins. By the time I had watched them, it was just after 1 a.m. I knew I had to sleep, but I was on such a high. I thought to myself, I'll watch one again. Then I ended up watching both of them for the second time. Once Begins had finished, I had to leave to catch my plane without having any sleep. Was it worth it? Absolutely. 20 years later, and I still think of these fond memories often. To this day, Batman Begins remains my second favorite Batman movie behind 89. I really can't see this changing, but I welcomely invite Brave and the Bold to knock it off its spot. Again, sorry for the length of the email. I can't wait to hear the show celebrating this amazing movie. Stuart. Stuart, that was a marathon, but what a good story. That's so good. First of all, there's so much in there. Toonami in 2003, you were like talking my child, my early high school
Yeah.
childhood here. Um, so yeah, thank you for bringing me back to that. And then BTAS, Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Those are all shows that I watched in the 90s. So thank you again for bringing up my childhood. I did not expect Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to come up on this podcast. I have to admit that. So that's an interesting swerve.
Yeah, that was not one that I was into, that's for sure. So I don't know where that came from, but
Oh, but the days of illicit DVDs that aren't necessarily legal and burning
that was the
them.
way I saw the original Raimi Spider-Man was on a bootleg DVD from like the streets of New York City, probably.
I feel like it doesn't exist anymore. Maybe it does. I just don't see it. But I feel
No, I
like
guess
that's
because it's just the internet,
yeah.
digital, stuff on the internet. I don't even know.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, it's sell
That's
the
the
seven
piracy.
C's.
Yeah, it's so much easier
Yeah.
on there now. So there's no reason. But yeah, what a fun what a fun thing to think about the way it was back then. But yeah, that was the big deal was 6 months to watch a movie, at home. It was a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And while I was reading that, I remembered, because I remember getting The Dark Knight Rises in for Christmas the year
Yeah,
it came out because it was in the
the
cracked
cowl.
cowl
Yep. Yeah, I
case.
got mine
And
right behind us. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I do feel like each one of those came out for Christmas time. Yeah, there it is. Um, so fun. Thank you, Stuart. I love your story about gosh, to be that age again and to be if I watched movies on repeat like that and had to with no sleep go catch a flight, I don't at this age I don't know that I would make it.
I'm already
Um
past my bedtime. It is not that late right now.
yeah.
I can't start a movie after 8 o'clock anymore. It's bad.
Oh, the other night when I as much as I love Begins, it was late when I put it on
Yeah.
and I'm like I got to stand up. I got to walk around for a few minutes.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching Superman Returns for 2 days. So, and I
That
haven't
may
finished
not
it.
be that that may not be you
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, Batman Begins was lucky because I started it in the afternoon. I watched that when the kids got home from school and I got home from work. So we watched it, after dinner, which was nice. So I was able to finish that before they went to bed. That I can do. But yeah, watching movies at night anymore is rough.
Well, again, thank you so much, Stuart. I really appreciate your perspective there. As a Batman fan who was not jaded at the time, that's a really neat perspective. You don't hear that a lot, so
Yeah.
thank you. That's a really fun email.
Yeah, and I wasn't jaded. I've said before I didn't hate Batman and Robin. It was just a different time in my life where I had other interests. I mean, I was in high school. I just got out of high school. Things were going on. Wasn't thinking about Batman. It just kind of crept up on me, and the excitement for this movie probably is what got me back into comics or into comics at all. I mean, I was into comics a little bit as a kid, but I really got into comics as an adult, 19 years old, 18 years old. So, yeah, it was a perfect storm at that time.
Yes, it was, and I'm glad we got to celebrate it. But John Stewart, thank you guys so much for emailing in.
Yeah, thank you.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up there, Joe. This has been a really fun one. I think we talked more than we expected to, but
Yeah, this is a longer one for us.
when we both, I mean, love something as much as this, it's hard to escape it. But thank you for joining me. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you out there?
Yeah, thank you again for having me on. Another fun anniversary, and we are getting awfully close to Superman. So you guys can find me on X, Instagram, and Letterboxd as J411, and Facebook as Joe Fornarato, Fornarotto.
Fantastic. And as for myself, you can find my personal accounts on Instagram, X, Threads, and Letterboxd at mecarter89. That's mecarter89. The show can be found on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and Blue Sky at tfrbatpod. If you're looking for a way to support the show, the best and easiest way you can do that is to leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. If you do leave a written review on Apple Podcasts, we will read those on the show. We also read listener emails. So if you'd like to send one, you can send that to tfrbatpod@gmail.com. If you're looking for another way to support the show, we don't ask that you spend a dime on this show, but if you'd like to, you can go to redbubble.com and search Shop TFR, all one word, and find our logos created by Justin Kowalski on all kinds of cool items there. Make sure you use the link in the description of this show. Go to Organic Priced Books, do yourself a little shopping, save some money, and support this show as you do so with our promo codes. Our theme song was created by Gaurav Venkateswar, and his music can be found at gvtunes.com. That's going to do it for this episode of TFR. Thank you guys so much for joining us along with this Batman Begins celebration and the Summer of Superman. But for Joe, I'm Eric. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, make sure you keep that bat signal lit and pointed skyward. Batman was created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane and is the sole property of Warner Brothers Discovery. The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast, is in no way associated with DC Comics, DC Studios, or Warner Brothers Discovery. The thoughts and opinions of the participants of this show are their own and do not reflect the companies that they work for. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
I never said thank you. And you'll never have to.